On June 11, 1998, a deputy from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department went missing.
Hey, if they'll kill a cop and bury him, what are they going to do to me?
What really happened to the missing deputy? Valley of Shadows, a new series from Pushkin Industries about crime and corruption in California's high desert.
Listen to Valley of Shadows wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to Missing Persons, brought to you by AbJack Entertainment. Be sure to check out some of the other great true crime podcasts from this network, including The Murder in My Family, DNA ID, Scene of the Crime, Zodiac Speaking, Beyond Bizarre True Crime, Campus Killings, Below the Surface, and Killer Communications. All of these podcasts are available for you to binge on right now, wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe where you're listening to this podcast so you don't miss an episode.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast do not necessarily represent those of the podcast, its creators, or sponsors. This episode may contain unsettling or disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
If you'd like to support Missing Persons and get VIP access to things like ad-free listening, early preview episodes, and bonus content of not only this show, but for every other podcast on the AbJack network of indie podcasts, consider subscribing to the show with an AbJack Insider subscription through Apple Podcast. For only $4.99 a month or $49.99 a year, you'll unlock a variety of listener benefits, and you'll be supporting the show in the process. Your support is greatly appreciated.
Welcome to Missing Persons, a podcast dedicated to spreading the word about people who have vanished under mysterious or unexplained circumstances and the family members who are looking for answers. I'm Jess Betancourt.
And I'm Mike Morford. Together, we created this podcast to help give a voice to people who continue to search for their missing loved ones. In some cases, even after decades have gone by. In each episode, you'll hear from Jess giving listeners the backstory and the basic facts of the disappearance.
Then Mike will speak with someone who's intimately connected to the missing person, and his guest will share their story with us. So sit back and enjoy this episode, and who knows, maybe you can help us find someone who's missing. Jill Ann Kloppenburg was born to parents Cheryl and Louis Kloppenburg and was raised in Bedford, Massachusetts. She and her sister Tara were largely raised by their mother after their father became absent due to addiction issues. Cheryl remarried, and the family, which now included stepfather George, relocated to Tewksbury, Mass. When Jill was a teen. Cheryl and George provided a loving, supportive household for the girls, but Jill struggled both in school and personally. She temporarily went to live with relatives in Florida, but eventually returned to Tewksbury. She fell victim to drug addiction and mental health issues that existed on both sides of her family. In her 20s, Jill had two sons, Ashton and Aiden. She was a very loving mom, and her children were her world, but eventually she lost her battles with addiction and was unable to care for her boys. Then in 2015, her father Louis was killed in a car accident, and her mom Cheryl died of cancer 2 years later in 2017. These were body blows to Jill and contributed to the cycle of sobriety and addiction that continued to characterize her life. Despite her troubles, Jill has incredibly loyal friends who say that she was kind, loyal, caring, and sweet. Her Facebook page contains a lot of photos of her boys and posts with self-help mantras such as, "Your life won't change until you do." Her Facebook page reflects that in March of 2024, she graduated from a 14-week life skills and career development program at the St. Francis House Moving Ahead program. In July of that year, she posted that she was 9 months sober. But in January 2025, 47-year-old Jill Kloppenburg went missing from Lowell, Massachusetts. At the time of her disappearance, Jill was temporarily staying with a man she knew in a Lowell Housing Authority apartment at the Francis Gatehouse Mill Complex. This was located at 735 Broadway Street in Lowell. It's a 90-unit apartment complex in an urban area. At the time, Jill was seeking treatment at a nearby methadone clinic and had been going there for several months. Her friends tell us Jill was seen at the clinic around January 6th. She apparently picked up her belongings from the apartment where she was staying. But a January 17th Facebook Messenger message to Jill in honor of her birthday by her aunt went unread, which had never happened before. Jill's friends learned from someone Jill befriended in the apartment building that she was afraid of the people she was crashing with and was looking for a new place to stay. Jill's friend Ann Matlaws and another longtime friend of Jill's, Teresa Brink, say Jill never lost touch with them, always checking in no matter what was going on with her. But Jill was reported missing on February 26, 2025. Her friends believe she went missing between January 6th and January 17th. I will note, however, that an FBI VICAP alert on her case says last known contact with Jill was January 2nd. Her phone has been untraceable by police. Several months after Jill went missing, a post on her Facebook page indicated that she was no longer alive. Jill Kloppenburg was 5 foot 3 inches tall, 120 pounds, and had tattoos on her lower back and inner thigh. Ann Matlaws, Jill's friend, is our guest today. She sat down to talk with Mike Morford about her friend Jill's case. That conversation is coming up after a word from our sponsors.
Hi, Ann, and welcome to Missing Persons. I want to thank you for coming on to talk about your friend Jill's case.
Hi, Mike. Thank you.
Glad to have you here. I know this is important to you. You and a bunch of people, it seems like, are searching for Jill. There's not a lot of attention, not a lot of news coverage, it seems like. I know you want to help change that, and we'll get into why that is and what we know and what we don't know. But can you start off sort of by telling listeners how it is you came to know Jill and your connection to her?
Sure. Jill's parents moved to Tewksbury, I think, when she was like a teenager, and her sister and my sister became friends, and me and Jill became friends. It just happened we were both the same age. Like, my sister was her sister's age, and me and Jill were the same age. So we all ended up hanging around, and right off the bat, like, and many people will tell you it, as soon as you meet Jill, you felt like she was your best friend, like you just clicked with her. And so many people will say it. And we just did. And me and her, that was probably when we were 13 or 14 years old. We worked together, when we were like 16. I started working there when I was 15. She started working there about a year later. We worked together. At 18, we got our first apartment with her mother's help together. And we were just really good friends. And unfortunately, probably about the age 21, 20, we went separate ways. I started working at a hotel, and we just went different ways. She got pregnant with her son, Ashton, who she loved so much. And unfortunately, her addiction took control more than she wanted, and she lost custody of him, which I think drove her more into addiction. And then she had another son, Aiden, and she couldn't get sober for him either. And her parents passed away, which was really hard on her because they were always so good to her. They were her, like, her home, no matter where they were split up, but they were just always there for her. So it killed her. Her father died in an unexpected car accident.
So it sounds like the losing her kids and losing her parents didn't help her situation, and she sounds like she may have spiraled further into addiction.
She did, unfortunately, and it was just, and it's sad because she tried so many times to get sober. She really did, and she went long stints of being sober, and she got addicted like everybody else does. Like her parents had divorced when she was young. It's one thing after another, it seems, like everybody in life. Her stepfather and her mother got married, I think she had issues with him because she was a little out of control, so she ended up getting in trouble a lot. She moved in with her aunt and uncle a couple different times because of friction at home. So it wasn't an easy life for her. Her father had addiction problems. And I don't want to make excuses. I don't want to put down her family. I don't want to talk bad about her parents because they did everything they possibly could do for her. And in this country, there's a mental health issue. And I think that's a lot of the problems with the drug addiction problems.
It's
And I don't want to
a
bring
lot of
in.
that's tied together, and a
It
lot of it's
really is.
open. Yeah. And how long a span was this? You mentioned you met her at 13, and then up to the stage where she fell into addiction. She lost custody of her kids. How long a span? How many years was that
It
over?
was years. The last time, so I lost touch with her because we just went different ways. She had a baby. I started working at a hotel and I worked all the time and I just threw myself into work. Thankfully, because honestly, I'd probably be right with her right now if I didn't throw myself into work. Because I had mental health issues too. And fortunately, I got mine resolved. And so she lost her second kid and her parents. I can't. It was years since then. I haven't spoken to her, and we're getting old now, probably like 20 years. So she lost both her parents. She lost her kids, and then her sister ended up almost dying, and they had a falling out and didn't talk. So she really felt like I think she was all alone. But she has so many people that care about her that she didn't know about, I think, or she didn't realize. So she kept in contact with a close few friends and her sons, or her son, one of her sons at least, Ashton. He hasn't heard from her in over a year.
But she still maintained contact and some sort of relationship with him, even though he wasn't in
Yeah.
her custody. Okay.
Yeah, she would message him and call him. The last time he heard from her was over a year ago now, and it was through a text message, I believe. So we've been piecing together what we know and trying to give the police everything we know. I feel like there was a big, just nobody looking for her at first and a lot of confusion at first. So she tried and tried and tried to get clean. And when she would get clean, she would have places to stay. But obviously, people have families of their own. So when she would start using again, she couldn't stay there. So the last time she stayed at a friend's house before she started using again, she left in September and all her belongings were there. Like her clothes, like her winter clothes, her summer clothes,
And just to verify, this is like September 2020.
For.
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming up. Okay. Approaching the new year 2025. And at this time, you mentioned you weren't in contact. Were you back in contact with her at this point?
No, we were just on Facebook, so I'd always see her updates.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't in the same state as her. Like I lived in Maine, I lived in Florida, I lived in Connecticut, so I was never in the same state. But we always kept in contact on Facebook. When her sister got sick, obviously she contacted me because we were all good friends, back in the day. And that's probably the last time I actually spoke with her. And like I said, but so how I became aware of her missing, we are all still friends on Facebook, like her friend Laura, who she's been best friends with since they were probably 8. It was so long ago. I can't tell you the exact age, but way before I met her. And she always kept in contact with Cindy. Cindy is actually the person that she was staying with last that we know, like in our friend group. So she still has her clothes.
And this is going back to the September 2024. This is where she was at, where her stuff was.
Right. And so she kept in contact with Cindy. She kept in contact with Laura, this girl, Teresa, and a few other friends that we know of. And she has 2 cousins. I don't know how much they kept in contact. But her aunt always messaged her on her birthday, which was January 17th. And she sent her a birthday wish on January 17th of 2025. And there was no response. And she always responded. She didn't even read it. Like, it didn't get read. But so in February, and people were thinking maybe she's in treatment, maybe, who knows. But Laura put on Facebook that she hadn't heard from her. I think it was the end of January. And for Laura not to hear from her, I knew something was wrong because they always kept in touch, like forever, you know? And when I hung out with Jill, we always hung out with Laura because they were best friends. They were like sisters, I felt. And Laura was kind of like an older sister to her, even though I think she might have been younger. But Laura put on that she was worried because she couldn't get in touch with her. And somebody went on there saying that she was in rehab and said to take the post down. So Laura listened and deleted the post. And then she posted again because she was worried because she still hadn't heard from her like a month later. And somebody went on that post and said, "I'm afraid to tell you, or I'm sorry to tell you, your friend OD'd and is dead." And this person has wanted to stay out of the whole investigation, which is frustrating.
You know who the person is? And you
Yeah.
don't have to name them here, but they're not a mystery. It's a person that used their real name.
Yes. Well, if it's a real name, I'm not sure. It doesn't look like a real Facebook profile, but we actually have talked to him. We've tracked down where he lived and spoke with them. But he just doesn't want to be involved. The person she was last staying with a person that was living in a Lowell Housing Authority property. And obviously it's a housing authority and they're basically staying there for free. So they're not supposed to have people staying with them. But apparently this person had multiple people staying with them. And one of them was Jill. And after she went missing, after we started looking for her, everybody said he was the one that said she overdosed and died. But he denied it the whole time.
And this is the person that made the Facebook post.
Laura made the Facebook. No, this is the guy she was living with.
Oh, okay.
And then one of the guys that knows him somehow said that he is the one that said she overdosed, and then he's trying to blame it on everybody else too. So it's like all these people in this building are like trying to blame it on everyone else, or there's a couple people in the building. And then there's this other guy that knows somebody in that building. And that's how he knows the guy. That's how he met Jill. Because Jill was staying with that guy that lives in the building. Or one of the guys that lives in the building. I know, it's really confusing.
Yeah.
Especially because I don't want to give names.
Yeah. And that's understandable. And I don't blame you for that. So basically it sounds like you get this alert, or I'll call it an alert, that she's overdosed, but he doesn't want to get involved, doesn't really give any more details about it. What were you and her friends sort of thinking at that time?
So my first thing was I started calling We started calling hospitals, police stations. I called the Boston Medical Coroner's Office and spoke with the detective there, and they said, as long as there's a missing persons report in, which there was, which I feel like wasn't taken seriously because she's an addict and she's, 48 years old, 47 years old. But there was a missing. She said, as long as that's in, if anybody comes in anywhere, they're going to know. So that's when I started calling like the police, the detectives, and trying to figure out, and we all started trying to figure out where she had been, So what we dug up that we know of, or that we think we know of, is that she may have been in a rehab, trying to get clean, and around the 13th got out. From talking to this person that she was staying with, he said she went there to get her belongings and left. And she hasn't been heard from or seen since.
And I want to talk a little bit about getting the police involved. You
Yeah.
mentioned that they had to have a missing persons report to be able to do something. Did they go, start asking questions, go to question any of these people that knew Jill or were living with her that had seen
No,
her?
not right away. The biggest problem I think we had was, so you put a missing person report in where the person lived. Her technical address, her mailing address was in Tewksbury because that's her friend's house where she could keep all her stuff and go and get it anytime. She got all her mail there. She's still getting mail there. Her mail is still getting delivered there, so she hasn't changed her mailing address. So we had to put it in with Tewksbury. She wasn't technically staying in Tewksbury. She was staying at this person's house in Lowell because she was unhoused. She didn't have a place to live, so she was staying with this person, this guy. So I think there was a fall through between Tewksbury Police and Lowell Police type of deal.
Mm.
I don't really know, or they just thought she's an addict, she's going to turn up. I don't really know. And then, of course, in the beginning, we started, searching for her and putting it on Facebook, and then you get all these fake sightings. So I think even the police saw this as, oh, she's definitely out there somewhere. But we would go to, like, Lawrence was a big one, and we actually found the girl that looked a lot like her. The police, even her cousins and aunt hired a PI, and he went out there and found her, and he said the girl looked just like her, and it wasn't Jill. And I think that deters a lot of investigations because they think, oh yeah, they're out there, and I know people are trying to help by saying, oh, this is her. But I feel like it impedes the investigation a lot.
Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit about that living situation at last place she was staying at.
Mm.
Um, so, and again, please help me with the
Yeah.
timeline. So September 2024, she had been staying with a friend where her belongings were.
Yes.
He left her belongings there, went to this other place.
Well, I don't know where she was in between. She was, I don't know when she started staying with this other person. So I
Okay.
don't know if she went directly there,
Well, one way or another, she had left
Right.
her belongings at the other place where she was staying and
Right.
wound up at this place at some
Yeah.
point. Okay. And I read, at least in one report, that she wasn't happy staying in that apartment and wanted to leave. Do you know why that was?
So we got messages from someone in the building that she spoke with a lot. And he had messages from her, and she was just saying that she didn't feel safe there. She definitely was afraid to be there, it sounded like. And she said she had to figure out she had to figure something else out, meaning like she needed to figure out a different place to stay or
So she was afraid for her safety, it sounded like.
right. But the thing is, I don't know. So we haven't been able to find her or any of her devices except for she left a laptop at the guy's house that she was staying with and some bracelets and necklaces or something that he wanted to keep. But we got the laptop from him and gave it to the FBI. But there's still another device that's missing. So all of those messages that we received, we don't even know if it's really her.
So it could have been somebody else pretending to be her.
Yeah, I mean, if they have her devices, they can, or like her phone or whatever, and know how to get into her Facebook or whatever, they could be sending the messages.
Do you know if police tried to track her cell phone and find the
Yeah,
actual
and
cell
they
phone?
couldn't because it was I don't know, like a paid by month phone or something.
Okay.
I don't know what they call it.
But no luck basically tracking that phone and
You
finding
know,
it.
yeah, they tried pinging it and tracking it, and I don't know what they got off or if they got anything off the laptop. Um,
So
I know
by
my
this
sister.
point, it sounds like by this point there's like none of her friends have heard from her. She's no longer posting on Facebook, that kind of
Nope,
stuff.
nope, she hadn't shown up for her doctor's appointment because her friend that has her belongings, that she was last staying with before she went back using. She got phone calls because she was her next to kin or whatever to call. They called her looking for her, saying that she hadn't been to her appointments. She hasn't been by to pick up any email, any of her belongings. She hasn't talked to any of her friends, hasn't been on Facebook,
Hmm.
hasn't reached out to anybody. And then
And
for her, I mean, it went from September all the way through, you know, she hasn't picked up any summer, winter, clothes that she would need to change. And that she did. She would go and change from summer clothes to winter clothes and bring them with her, you know?
hmm. And she had no other places that she was known to go or stay that you've found either.
We found like, so she had exes that she would stay with. We reached out to them. They don't know where she is. They were asking around for her too. I know. And we still keep in contact with a couple of them, but no, there's not, I mean, nobody. And since I've been posting and I try to post all the time about her missing, I've met so many people that have met her and know her, even knowing her from being on the streets in Lowell, and they haven't seen her. We have, I've met so many people. I actually started a missing out of Lowell page because of it, because there's one out of Worcester, there's one on Mass Ave, but there was none in that area, so I started one. I met so many people doing these things that work with the homeless, that run these pages, the missing pages. And they all have people looking out for her in these areas and nothing
Hmm.
yet.
Now, once the police, you said initially they didn't jump into action, but once they started like really investigating, did they start questioning the people that had seen her or she had stayed with? And if so, what did they say?
And I don't want to say they didn't jump into action. I feel bad saying that. Like, I don't want to downplay the police or anything.
What once they started,
Uh,
investigating, did they talk to any
It's
of these people that had seen Jill or she had stayed with? And if so, what did they have to say?
It's so confusing because they say they don't tell us what they have said. So now it went after Tewksbury. I got frustrated because I kept trying to call and get information and give information. And I was just getting frustrated. I felt like we were going nowhere. They wouldn't even put a missing person report out. And I think that's what got me most is every town will put like a missing person thing out and they wouldn't even do it on her. They had to get so that the detective that we talked to was very nice and he kept pushing and pushing, I feel. And he finally brought it to the FBI and got the VICAP report out. Finally, after we kept asking, because I'm like, nobody's going to take us seriously unless we get a missing person, like from the police. No news stations would take us seriously. No, nobody would talk to us. So they finally got the VICAP out, and then I think they were having Lowell go out because, it's Lowell. All the people lived in Lowell. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. So the Lowell police would go out there, but this person that she was staying with actually is related to a Lowell and a Billerica cop. Billerica cops, I should say. His uncle is a Lowell police officer. So we felt like, okay, it's not going to go anywhere because he has family that are police,
So,
It just,
but you have made progress. It sounds like you have
yeah. So
got the word out.
finally, Bob Ward was Fox 25. Bob Ward actually did a thing on her, which is the only person that would listen to us through the news media anyway. I eventually wrote to the DA about the situation. The state police are now involved, and the detective is doing a really good job, I think, so far on the case. It's just still, we can't get word out. I feel like it's not going anywhere. They don't have much to go on. It's been so long, even if something did happen somewhere, all the evidence would be gone. I just don't understand if she did overdose and pass away, where would she be?
Yeah. And
You
did
know,
that person that posted originally on Facebook that she had overdosed, did he provide any more information about
is
what might
that
have happened to her?
no, he said that he heard it from the guy she was living with.
Hmm.
And then he told us that no, he heard it from everybody else.
So basically a runaround, it sounds like.
Yeah, so he said, she said.
Yeah. And meanwhile, nobody has really seen her or heard from her. She just dropped out of sight suddenly.
Yeah, she's just missing. Like, her family hasn't heard from her, and she didn't stay, like, in close contact with all of them. Obviously, they had their falling outs probably due to whatever, but I know one of her uncles put up a $5,000 reward to get information leading to her whereabouts, and we haven't even gotten anything on that.
Is there still a reward being offered, do you know?
Yes, by
Uh,
her uncle.
that's, maybe somebody out there will be motivated by that to share what they know, and hopefully it does.
Yeah, we've been putting it out there, and it's still haven't. I guess the police to get a couple of tips, but it didn't lead to anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, it sounds like you and this group of friends, her friends, are really trying to, you know, go to bat for her and let people know that she's missing and dropped from sight with no explanation. And you've gotten, that FBI report generated. You've gotten the news station doing stuff. You're doing podcasts like this one. What other kinds of things are you trying to do, or do you hope to do to get the word out?
we're just trying to do anything and everything. And like, thank you for doing the podcast because we're at a loss now. Like, we feel like we've tried everything. The only the other thing is going out and searching and hopefully coming across her. But we've searched like in homeless areas. Um, we have people out there on the streets every day looking for her. that work with the homeless. I have people at the library in downtown Lowell, because a lot of the homeless would go in there and go to the bathroom or whatever. They are out there looking for her. There's so many people out there looking for her, and I wish she just knew.
It sounds like it's very tough for you, being worried about your friend and not knowing what happened to her.
It's just sad. Like, I had a tough upbringing. She had a tough upbringing, and she doesn't deserve to be missing. Like, if she did OD and die, she deserves to be with her parents.
Sure. And, at the very least, if that turns out to be the truth, you would think somebody would help find her and, give her that peace.
Right. And, if it was an overdose, then why would you hide her? You're not going to get in trouble for calling 911.
Yeah. And even if it was like in your property or something, you could, at the very least, put her outside of your property and call 911 and then try and distance
Yeah.
yourself that way.
Right. Like, if it was in the apartment building and you didn't want to get in trouble for having her in your apartment, just put her outside
Yeah.
and say you found her out there.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't understand how she could be missing for this long. And when I say, like, everybody loved her, she had, like, such a kind heart, and she was so easygoing, and, once you met her, you just clicked with her. And it's just really sad that, she's missing.
Is there any possibility in your mind, do you think it's at all possible that maybe she left to maybe try and get a fresh start someplace, or?
I hope to God so. But I don't think she would do that to Laura, because Laura had so many things happen. She lost a really good Jill, and Laura lost a really, really good friend of theirs. I don't think, and she would have saw it. I don't think she would have not called her.
And you also said she had been in contact with at least one of her kids, and he hasn't heard from her either.
Neither kid has heard from her.
So it's just now it seems like it's just a battle to keep the word out there and let people know that she's missing, and hopefully
Yeah, and
somebody
I
with information.
swear I hope to God she's out there. But if she is out there, I feel like someone's, like, keeping her from contacting people. When I tell you she was always on Facebook, that's how I knew she was always okay. Even when she went to Hawaii, she was on Facebook, and she was homeless in Hawaii, but she was on Facebook, you know? Just, you knew something was wrong 'cause she just dropped off everywhere.
Yeah.
And everyone, like, I've met so many of her friends that they met through, rehabs, or, met here or there, and, um, so many different parts of her life, and they all said the same thing, like, she always kept in contact. Like, she was always on Facebook,
Yeah.
but she didn't read anybody's birthdays messages that she usually did. She didn't respond to anybody's, and that's not like her.
Yeah.
So we think between January 6th and her birthday, that's when she went missing. I really strongly believe the 13th.
So
Our
this would
first
be
conversation with the guy that she lived with.
okay.
And then he kind of recanted it and changed his story after the first conversation.
This is basically a year ago today. We're recording this on January 13th, and that's when you think she probably went missing, was last January 13th.
Yes. Yep.
Well, it sounds like you're really doing a good job keeping up the search for her, and we'll definitely help get the word out. Are there any social media pages or anything like that you want to give
There
out?
is a missing Jill Kloppenburg page.
And people can get updates or find out more, or maybe reach out to you there.
Not many updates there. Because there's not many updates that we can put out or that we have. It's just a standstill now, and it's just more, we want to get the word out and get our face out there even more so.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, because I think you're doing a good job, and we'll definitely help you to get that word out. And I hope you do find out what happened to your friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Missing Persons. If you can provide any information to help solve the case we discussed in this episode, please contact the appropriate authorities.
If you enjoy this podcast, please take a moment to tell your friends about Missing Persons and invite them to listen to the show. Word of mouth will help us grow and bring these cases to a larger audience. You can also help us by taking a moment to rate and review Missing Persons on the platform you're listening to us now on. If you want to get early and ad-free access to new episodes of Missing Persons and help support the show in the process, please consider a subscription to our Apple Podcast. For only $4.99 a month or $49.99 a year, you'll get early ad-free access to not only this show, but to every other show on the AbJack network of podcasts. You can get started with a free trial by searching for AbJack Entertainment in your Apple app, and we'll include a link in the show notes. If you want to find us on social media, we're on every major platform and on YouTube. Just search for Missing Persons Podcast. We'll include links to all of our social media in our show notes, and you can also visit our website, missingpersonspodcast.com. Finally, if you're in need of a platform to discuss a missing persons case that you're connected to, feel free to reach out to us on our website. We're happy to help. Just a reminder that new episodes of Missing Persons air every other Saturday. On behalf of Jess Betancourt, this is Mike Morford saying thanks, and we'll see you next time on Missing Persons.